Class 9 students, this is your chapter number 5 from the Moments book, The Happy Prince. Okay, now who exactly was the Happy Prince? Happy Prince was a beautiful statue and it was covered with gold, and he had sapphire for eyes and a ruby in his sword. Now, why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? Was he exactly happy? Was the statue really happy? In this story, we are going to read about many characters. The two characters in the story are the Prince, Happy Prince statue, and the swallow bird. Okay, and few more characters are there. One needy girl, a seamstress. A seamstress means a lady tailor who earns her living by sewing, and a writer, and many more characters. Now let's just read about this chapter and find out why the Happy Prince was not happy after his death. Even he was such a good statue, but then also. Now, there was an unknown city. We don't know which city it was. It was a place, it was a city. And in a tall column, which thing stood? There stood the statue of a happy prince. He was gilded, means spread it all over with his thin fine leaves of gold. I mean, the statue was made up of gold. And in place of his eyes, those eyeballs were replaced as the bright sapphires, and a large red ruby was glowed on his sword. That means that statue was built very beautifully. And this tale is of many years ago. And in the modern days, the people, they used to make the statues of the prince, princess, kings, or queens just for remembering them. Today also, as we can see, there are many statues of the people who had done something great in their lives. Okay, now one night what happened? A little swallow. A swallow is a bird that is found in almost in many continents, but basically during the winter time, these it is believed that these birds fly to the Egypt. Okay, and actually his friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks ago, but he had left behind, and that is why he decided that I would also go to Egypt. Now, all day he flew here and there, and at that time he arrived at the same city where that statue was standing. Now, then he said that where shall I put up? He said, where shall I land? Then the bird, that swallow bird, what did it saw? It saw a huge statue on the tall column, and then he rested over there. He said that it's a fine position with plenty of fresh air, and then he alighted just between the feet of the happy prince. And he said, wow, now I'm having a golden bedroom. It was a golden bedroom for that bird. And he said softly to himself as he looked around. And the moment he was trying to sleep, he prepared to sleep, and he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. Now that bird was very curious, and he said that there is not even a single cloud in the air, and the stars are also quite clear and bright, and then also it's raining. Then another drop fell. Then the bird said, then what is the use of this statue if it cannot keep the rain off? He said to himself. And over there he said that I must look for a good chimney pot. But before he opened his wings, a third drop fell on him, and he looked up and see. Now what did he see? He saw that the eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and the tears were running down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. Now over here this little swallow was much touched by the prince as it was crying. Now then the swallow asked the prince that why are you weeping? Why are you crying? And you have drenched me, you have made me wet. Now the prince said, when I was alive, now the prince is narrating his story when he was alive. He said that when I was a living person, I had a human heart, And at that time I did not know the meaning of tears. Why? Because I used to live in a palace with all the luxuries of the life, and there was no sorrow. And that is why my courtier means the people of his court, they used to call him the happy prince. Why? Because he was having all the treasures of the kingdom, and that is why he was happy. And then he died. But now, after dying and after he has become a statue, now he was set up over there so high that he was very much sad to see the ugliness and all the misery of his city in which he used to live. And that is why his heart was made up of lead. But then also he said, yet I cannot choose but weep. Now he said, is he not solid gold? Now the swallow said to himself that your body is made up of gold, but your heart is made up of lead. Now the statue said that far away over there in the little secret street there is a poor house. And what happened? Over there I could see a woman, and she is a seamstress. As I told you that seamstress is a lady who earns her living by sewing. And he told that her hands have all got pricked by the needle, and she is embroidering flowers on a satin gown. For whom? For the loveliest of the queen's maid of honor, where she is going to wear at the next court ball. And in the bed in the corner room, her little boy is lying ill and he is having a fever, and he is asking his mother to give him some oranges, but his mother has nothing to give him except for some river water, and that is why he is crying. So swallow, swallow, little swallow, now he requested the little swallow to just take out that ruby from his sword, and my feet are fastened to this pedestal, I cannot move. And that is why the statue was over there, it was tied at that place, so he could not move. And that is why he requested the little swallow to pick the ruby that he was having on his sword and give it to the poor woman.